And the red light is on.
Cool. Let's do it.
It's always a good sign.
Let's
the red
record
light is
some
on.
shit. Yeah.
All right. So here we go.
Yep.
I like that little funky intro.
Yeah, me too. It's good.
Hey, welcome back to a new episode of Shayne and I. My name is Shayne.
I'm Max.
And here we are.
Yep.
Back again. Our bi-weekly-ish podcast.
Bi-weekly-ish.
And we were beating the ish again.
Yeah. Riveting new edition.
Riveting new edition.
Yeah.
And, dude, we have been on a roll with this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we have been just, like, killing it with every 2 weeks-ish.
Every 2 weeks-ish, like clockwork.
Like clockwork.
Every 2 weeks-ish, like clockwork.
It even says in our bio, a bi-weekly-ish podcast.
Yep.
So, don't get on me if it comes out at 3 weeks. We're still within the ish.
That's totally ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Do what you gotta.
All right. Cleared the throat there.
Yep.
So, yeah, man, we're back. And, dude, we were recording and some stuff happened and some things. And so we started over.
Yeah.
Just being honest with
And now we're back again.
Now we're back.
Maybe we'll do better second time around.
Yeah. Maybe that was just a rehearsal run.
Maybe that was a rehearsal run.
And we're not as improvised as you think we are.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. Or maybe I'm lying to you right now and we're just starting fresh.
Maybe.
Maybe
this is our first shot of the game.
Maybe we need to get some true crime in here and figure out if we're telling the truth.
Yeah, maybe we got to just drop some movie reviews and see what happens.
So anyway, yeah, man, we're back. I have an interesting couple of stories that happened to me this week within the span of 2 days.
Do it.
So the first one is I'm coming out of Walmart, right?
All right, tell me.
I got a couple bags of groceries in my hands.
Mm-hmm.
And first, what you're thinking is, why were you in Walmart? Number one, Walmart is a cheaper place to buy proteins, like chicken.
Oh yeah, depending on what you're going for, Walmart's great.
Chicken.
Yeah.
They got really good deals on chicken, really good deals on ground turkey, really good deals on liquid egg whites. Pretty much what I use for proteins.
There you go.
Anyway, I'm coming out of Walmart. I got a couple bags of groceries in my hand. The receipt's in my hand. I'm walking out. I'm getting close to my car. The receipt hits the ground. I see the receipt hit the ground. In my head, I'm like, okay, I got to go turn around and get that receipt, right?
Yeah.
After I put this stuff in my car.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm going. I unlock the car, start loading my stuff in the car. And this old man, I mean, people consider me an old man, but I say old man, I mean like he was 70.
70.
Yeah. And I'm like, old man's like, hey, I'll pick up that receipt for you.
Oh, what a nice old man.
And I'm like, hey, thank you. Right? And I start loading my stuff in my car. All of a sudden, out of nowhere,
out of the blue,
this guy starts fucking yelling at me. He's like, you stupid motherfucker. You degenerate. You this, like, just I don't know what the word I'm looking for is.
Berating
me.
Yeah. Was he using some like old timey language?
Yeah.
Like, you piddly whickle-snap?
Well, not piddly whickle-snap, but yeah, we could go there. Like, offensive old man language, right? And I'm like, what just fucking happened?
Yeah.
Like, he just said he was going to take care of it for me.
He was being a nice man, and now
and all of a sudden he's fucking yelling at me.
Yeah.
Right? I've learned over time that I don't need to, like, re-engage in this situation.
Yeah,
because it would be really fucking bad.
You don't need to bite the bait and be a wickedy flickle snap.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna like start yelling at this guy and calling him a piece of shit and whatnot. I'm not gonna start yelling back at this guy. Right?
Yeah.
It's not gonna end well.
Right. Yeah. Nothing. It's not gonna improve anything.
Right. So I finished loading my stuff in my car. He's still yelling at me. I'm not looking at him. I'm not engaging with him. I can hear him still yelling at me. And I'm thinking to myself, like, how does this guy fucking know I'm a degenerate? Number one.
How does he know?
How does he know?
Right?
Yeah. Number two, this is weird. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, only at Walmart.
Yeah.
Right? Only at Walmart.
Only at Walmart. I mean, there's maybe a few other places, but yeah.
Only at Walmart. Yeah. And I'm like, okay. I get in my car. I start backing out. And I look over to my left to see if the guy's still yelling. And yeah, he's still, like, he's got his fist in the air at this point. Yelling at me.
Shaking his fist in the air?
Shaking his fist in the air. And I'm like, I should really fucking just go. Like, I don't want to get in trouble and start shit with an old man and have him try to attack me and me lay him out.
Yep.
Like, it would be really bad.
Yep. But instead you put your car in reverse and just went over him.
No. I did not run over the old man.
All right.
Did not. I did not engage.
Okay.
I was keeping my cool, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to leave. I'm just going to go. And I'm like, I start backing out. I look up in my rearview mirror. He's still fucking yelling at me.
God damn.
Still shaking his fist in the air. I can't hear what he's saying. By this point, there's other people coming out, standing there. And I'm like, well, this is kind of embarrassing at this point.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all I did was drop a receipt. Like, do I got to stop the car, get out, and say, hey, all I did was drop a receipt?
Nah.
So I didn't.
Just keep going.
I just kept going.
Do you really care what the random people at Walmart think of you?
I don't care what the random people at Walmart think of me that just bought a T-shirt for $5.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm in my car and I'm thinking about this, right? And I'm like, could you imagine if that dude attacked me? Like, that's how it felt like it was going to me. Like, I could tell when I got to get to that point where I got to defend myself. And I was like, dude, I would not only, number one, feel bad that I had to lay out an old man.
Yeah.
Because I would do some damage, right?
Yeah.
I know how to take care of myself in situations, right?
Yeah, of course.
Number two, I'd have to answer to the police would probably get involved. And how would I feel about, like, hey, look, this is what happened. I dropped a receipt on the ground, and he started yelling at me, and he came at me, and I had to defend myself.
I think what it comes down to is even if the old man started it,
right,
you can't just lay out some 70-year-old dude.
No, I would still get in trouble for it.
In the parking lot without trouble. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to go there.
Yeah.
But in my head, I'm thinking about all the different scenarios, right? Because sometimes I just trip out on shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
yeah.
this really had me for a couple, from the time I left Walmart to the time I got to my house, I was thinking about it. I was like, whew, I just escaped something there.
You escaped some shit.
It could have gone really bad.
Yeah.
And that guy would have wound up in the hospital. And like I'm not tooting my horn. I don't like violence, but I've had to defend myself on a number of occasions, and I know how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't. Let's just say I know how to take care of myself.
Yeah. It doesn't feel good, though.
No, and I don't like it.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good.
I'm not a guy that likes fighting. I never have. I never, I've gotten into a few. I could count on my hand how many fights I've gotten into, and they're all when I was 19, 20 years old, being a dumbass.
Yeah.
Most of the time when you're supposed to get in fights, you know what I mean?
Right.
Back then, I got beat up a lot. You know what I mean? So I learned how to defend myself after that. And once I learned how to defend myself, I stopped getting into fights because I didn't have to be a smartass anymore.
Yeah.
And most of the time I got in fights was because I was being a smartass.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean?
You run your mouth, someone's going to punch you in it.
Yeah. Yeah, and the last fight I got into, I'm going to tell the story real quick because this one's kind of funny. There was a period of time when I was 19 years old where I lived in South Dakota. I've told you the story.
Yeah.
In the Midwest.
I'm familiar with the story.
Right. I didn't pay my rent one time.
Ooh.
I spent the money on some other stuff. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
You know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
I spent some money on some other stuff, and I was a real smartass when I was 19. A real smartass when I was 19.
I believe you.
And I was big enough to where people, and I looked kind of scary enough, where people wouldn't they wouldn't, if I was a smartass, they weren't going to try and fight me because of how I looked. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Weird long hair, green hair guy.
No, I didn't have green hair back then. It was long and it was dyed auburn.
Auburn.
Ooh. It was the 80s, dude. It was I was into the glam metal.
All right, there you go.
I'll admit it.
All right.
I'll admit it. Glam metal dudes got chicks.
Yeah, they did.
You know what I mean?
But they also had perms.
Yeah. Anyway, I skipped paying my rent on purpose. Didn't tell the guy my roommates, there was 5 of us. And anytime I got into a fight in South Dakota, these guys that I lived with, farm boys love fighting. Mm-hmm. I could say some smart ass shit and I always knew they'd come to my aid. Mm-hmm. And I liked doing it. It was funny to me. Mm-hmm. This one time, me and this guy that is actually a farm boy, he was 6'1" at 16 years old,
Damn.
A big dude at 16.
Yeah.
Typical farm boy, huge, baling hay.
Are you about to tell me you beat up a 16-year-old?
No.
All right, continue.
No. So I was popping off to him.
All right.
Doing my usual popping off. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what I said. So he's like, you know what, I'm going to just take you outside and I'm going to kick your ass right now. And I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. I'm thinking my roommates are going to have my back like they always do. I'm not too worried about it at this point, right?
Yeah.
Not worried at all. This dude whoops my ass.
Yep.
You know, I'm not embarrassed to tell it now.
Yeah.
I got my ass whooped by a big ass 16-year-old farm boy.
Okay, cool.
Like, just, like, whooped.
Yeah.
Like,
I
broke my nose, threw me in the snow.
Yeah.
And let me lie there in the snow. Mm-hmm. And we were friends after that, because back then, that's how you fought. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He had to do a big fight, and then you guys were buddies out. You guys were drinking 5 minutes later.
That's how men bond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fight gets done. My nose is broken. I'm bleeding. I'm lying in the snow. Mm-hmm. Ask my roommate. I'm like, why didn't you have my back? Guy looks at me, and I'll never forget it. He's like, because you didn't pay your fucking rent.
Yeah.
Pay your rent on time, asshole.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I'm like, he walks back inside.
Yeah.
And needless to say, I may have paid my rent late a few times later in my adult life, but I always made sure my rent was paid.
You always paid it. Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, that happened. And so from that after that, I kind of learned how to take care of myself because, like I said, me and the 16-year-old kid actually became friends. And the time I was there, he taught me like some moves and he taught me how to defend myself. And he's like, look, if you're gonna pop off, you need to know some places to hit people so you know like one punch and it's gonna be done. Mm-hmm. And he showed me some moves and he showed me how to defend myself. 16-year-old kid.
Yep.
Who knew?
Grab the nards, squeeze, twist. Pull.
He showed me a couple shots in the face. Like, you take a couple shots in the face right here and here, you're done. That's it.
Or you could pop off their nards.
Yeah.
Squeeze, twist, pull. They pop off like a ripe apple from a tree.
Like a ripe apple from the tree. So, yeah, man, that's my hit. And I never liked fighting to begin with. I only did it because that's what everybody around me was doing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It seemed like that's how you were accepted. So... nobody really cared that I was this long-haired dude from California.
Right.
So I figured that reputation would take me somewhere. It didn't.
No.
So, and I especially looked like a freak in a small town in South Dakota with long auburn hair. Mm-hmm. And I had one of those leather flangy jackets with the flange on them.
Oh, the fucking fringe.
But it wasn't leather. It was like suede or something like that. It was a cheap knockoff.
Yeah, bet that held up well in the snow.
Yeah. No, it didn't. So my look didn't go over well in a small town in South Dakota.
No, I wouldn't think so.
And I got into a lot of trouble for no reason. They would just say, "Hey, the guy with long hair from California, he's the one that did it." Mm-hmm. And it wouldn't even be me. Like I remember one time there was a robbery at a bakery, and the guy that did the crime, the guy that they found out later did the crime, he said, "Oh yeah, I saw the guy from California with long hair walking out of the store with a bunch of money."
Yeah,
I was in jail for 4 fucking days.
God damn. But, I mean, you stuck out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
You made a convenient scapegoat.
Yeah. They did the investigation. They turned out it was the guy that narked on me was the actual guy that knocked off the bakery. But
yeah, I believe it.
Anyway, so that happened. And then a couple days later, I was working, and I took the client that I take care of to the grocery store. We went to grocery outlet because that's our routine on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
We go to grocery outlet. He does he knows the whole grocery store. Mentally delayed adult. He has the whole place memorized.
He's got it down.
And that's where he goes, and they know him there, and they're really nice to him. So
nice.
We go there, and I drink like a liter of water before I went there because all the working out I do, like I've been drinking a lot more water.
Yeah, well, you gotta.
Yeah,
you gotta.
And this is fun. This is the funny one.
All right, Shayne's smiling here.
Yeah, it's funny. This one's funny to me. We get to the store and we're like halfway through shopping and I gotta pee. Like really bad.
Yeah.
Like not like bad at the point where I walk up to the person that's like stocking eggs and I'm like, "Hey, dude, stocking eggs.
Yeah.
Can I use the bathroom?" He's like, "Oh no, sir. No, bathroom's closed." And I'm like, "Okay." Doesn't make sense why the bathroom's closed on a Tuesday at 12:30, but whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm walking around, I see another person, and I'm like, "Hey, can I go?" Maybe that guy just didn't know. You know what I mean? I'm like, "Hey, can I use the bathroom?" And the lady's like, No, you can't.
No, you cannot.
No. And I'm like, fuck. At this point, I'm starting to dance, right? I'm starting to do some Michael Jackson moves.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like starting to get bad, right?
Fuck yeah.
And I'm like, so the guy's in line, the client's in line, and I'm like, okay, I really gotta go to the bathroom. And he's kind of giggling at me at this point. He's like, yeah, you do. And so, like, I run over to the bathroom, and there's a sign out there. It says, sorry for the inconvenience, yada, 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 bathrooms are closed. Manager comes out, and I'm like, oh, it's a manager. Maybe she'll let me in. Maybe if I ask really nicely. In my head, I'm like, maybe if I ask really nicely, she'll let me in the bathroom. And I'm like, can I please use the restroom?
Yes.
Right?
Please, like, may I please?
Yeah.
With the cherry on top.
She's like, I'm so sorry for the inconvenience, but there was something gnarly that happened in the bathrooms. Plural.
Plural.
Bathrooms,
plural.
Yes. And I'm like, I don't really care if it's... At this point, I had to close my eyes, and, like, tears are starting to come out my eyes. Like, that's how bad I gotta go.
Hey, you're seeing yellow.
And I can see a little bit... I can feel a little bit of pee coming out at this point.
Getting a little drip at the tip?
Getting a little drip application.
All right.
And so, I'm like... Please, can I use the bathroom? And I open my eyes, and this dude comes walking out of the men's room, and he has one of those masks on with, like, the two things at the end of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it looks like a gas mask.
Yeah, it looks like
one
a
of
gas
those
mask.
like industrial
and this dude coming out of the bathroom has tears in his eyes, and I'm like,
oh no.
He's like, yeah, man, you don't want to go in there.
Oh no.
And I'm like, all right. So the guy the client that I have comes out of line. And he's paying for his stuff, and I'm like, I'm full on dancing, like I'm full on like doing moonwalks, and I'm full on Michael Jackson moves.
Yeah.
Right, because I gotta go so bad.
Yeah.
Like people at the store are looking at me. Like at this point, they think I'm the client. Right. And so we get in the car, and like more pee's coming out at this point. Like I gotta go that bad.
Ooh.
Right. And the client starts laughing at me. He's like,
that little shit.
You pee in your pants.
What a fucking all right.
And I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm glad I could like entertain you. So we get to this first gas station I see. I'm like, dude, I walk into the little cash register area, and I'm like, can I please use the bathroom?
Pretty please.
Dude, I'm like bawling at this point. Right? You can see you could tell I gotta go to the bathroom. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Right? And the guy looks at me, and he just points to the sign.
Points to the sign. It says, no bathroom customers. Oh, what a dick.
Yeah. That's how it's worded.
Yeah.
No bathroom customers.
All right.
It doesn't say customers cannot use the restroom. It says no bathroom customers.
All right.
I ask him nicely. I beg him. I'm like, please, can I use the bathroom? It's an emergency. And like, he's like, no, can you? And not to sound prejudiced, this is how he sounded. He said, no one can use the bathroom. And I'm like, I'm going to pee in a bush if you don't let me use the bathroom. He said, no bushes.
I'd have just peed on his bathroom. Like on the closed door.
Right. I walk out of the store. That's what I thought. I look around, and I'm like, well, it's kind of a public place. I don't want, like it's not one of those bathrooms that's like hidden. You know what I mean? Like it's right there.
Was it the Valero between the grocery outlet and the Safeway?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bad place to.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, well, the client's got to get a notebook at Safeway anyway. I know there's a bathroom at Safeway, right? So we finally get to Safeway. I run into the bathroom. It's glorious. Like, it's one of those glorious peas. You know what I'm talking about?
I do. They got nice bathrooms at Safeway, too.
There's nobody else in there. Like, dude, the relief. Oh, my God. Like, I haven't had to pee that bad in a long time.
Yeah.
But the relief, it was almost like that feeling that you have after you have sex.
One of those, yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, man. What a relief.
Yeah.
I come out of the bathroom. My client's laughing. You peed yourself.
What a fucking dick.
That was funny.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm glad I can entertain you, dude. Get back to his place. The rest of the day goes fine. Yesterday, I go back to work. As soon as he opens his door, he starts laughing at me again.
Yep.
You peed yourself. And I'm like, yeah, I did. Yep, I did.
You're probably going to be hearing about that for a while.
Until he starts talking about the last wrestling match he watched.
Oh, there you go.
So, Anyway, those are my two interesting stories that happened. And they happened within like Sunday was the grocery store incident. Tuesday was the fucking peeing incident.
Oh, okay.
Like,
so they happened within half a week of one another.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a tight squeeze for two different incidents.
Yeah. It was not. And like the old man one was just kind of like, man, that was weird. The peeing one's funny. Like, I'm still laughing. At least I didn't shit myself, I guess.
I like the old... I can kind of identify with the old man. You ever just suddenly get overtaken by some, like, self-righteous indignation?
Yeah.
And so one time I was at Costco. Okay, this has happened more than once. But this one particular time I was at Costco. And I had already paid. And so I'm walking to the door. And there's this old dude... he also is already paid and is walking to the door, and he's really just taking his time.
One of those, you want a little carbo kind of old man?
He's just, I mean, he's...
You want some black licorice there, kiddo?
Not that old.
Okay.
He's not so old that I understand.
That's how old this guy was that I had to deal with.
All right, now, I mean, this guy's easily in his 70s, but, you know, he's standing upright. He's pushing a cart. You know, he's just taking his fucking time. And then it just comes out of me, like I'm behind this guy. And I'm like, oh, that's fine. Take all the time you need, sir. Nobody here's waiting to get out of this store. You just take your time going down the way there. And
what a dick thing to say.
Yeah, well, that's what Kira said to me. She was with me, and she didn't appreciate that. But the old man looked back and was like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and he got out the way real fast. So
take your time, sir.
Yeah, everything worked out in my opinion.
No, I can relate to it. But I don't understand why the guy kept yelling at me, like, after I got into my... Like, I get it, yell at me while I'm standing there, but I was, like, in my car, and he's, like, shaking his fist at me.
Yeah.
Like...
You fucking motherfucker.
Yeah.
Who shakes their fist? You gotta be really pissed off.
Yeah.
To shake your fist in the air.
And to, like, keep yelling at me as I'm driving away.
Yeah.
Dude.
Well, you know, at least he got his cardio in for the day.
At least so. Maybe he was just mad about something else and he just took it out on me.
That happens. That happens all the time.
You know, just some weird shit, man.
Yeah. Well, hey, I'll tell you my story of weird shit that happened this week. It happened just yesterday. I came home from the hardware store.
Uh-oh.
And there's fucking like I'm coming on the main way here. And there's fucking, like, cop cars with the lights on and everything. And
in Katati?
In Katati, and they've stopped the road. And so I take the long way around.
Mind you, dear listener, Katati's like a nice little quiet suburb in Northern California.
Yeah.
Being that we have listeners from all over the place.
Yeah.
In Northern California,
which is one of the chillest, friendliest places in the world to live, Northern California.
Yeah. And Katati's like a small section, small little town, small little suburb.
It's a small town.
Yeah.
6,000 people. Yeah. When I first moved here, it was less than 6,000 people. It's a small, safe town.
Yeah.
Really nice. I will say in the first 3 years I lived here, there were 3 murders. But other than that,
yeah,
it's a nice, small, safe town.
Yeah. Okay. So we had to let you guys know, like they don't have like 5 cop cars shutting down the neighborhood.
No, they don't. But this was going on. So I turn early. I take the block around. I go around the block. I park at my place. I get out, and then I walk down to see what's going on. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna be a looky-loo. I'm gonna look like a looky-loo.
Right.
And I walk up, and a fucking tree has fucking split in half, and the half that fell right in the middle of the street.
It took 5 Katati police cars to deal with that?
They got nothing to do, man. They got nothing. Also, it was just 3. But they got nothing to do.
Right.
That's like half the police force there. They got nothing to do, so, you know, why not?
Right.
Anyway, so I'm looking at this thing, and I'm like, well, shit. You know, nobody got hurt. Like, it didn't fall on... So it fell over a fence, but it missed the fence.
Right.
It fell... somehow like over some power lines, but it didn't take down the power lines.
Right.
It fucking didn't hit any cars or people or anything. Like,
it's just there in the middle of the street.
Fucking no harm done. It's just there in the middle of the street.
3 cops are standing around figuring it out.
Well, I mean, they got to make sure that people sees it there in this giant fucking tree there in the middle of the street so they don't drive into it.
Yeah.
Anyway, but so I'm there and I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, shit. And one of the cops turns around and he sees me.
Being a looky-loo?
Yeah. And he says loudly to the other cops there he is. And he walks up to me and says, did you cut down that tree, sir? And I fucking had a mini heart attack.
There's Max in the middle of the night chopping down his neighbor's trees just because they were too long.
Mm-hmm. Though I will say, many times have I said of that particular tree, one of these days, that motherfucker's just going to fall.
Right.
That motherfucker's just going to fall onto the street. It's going to take down the power lines. It's going to fuck up that fence. It's going to kill somebody on the street. It did none of those things, but it did fall.
Right.
All right.
But it wasn't you that chopped it down.
It wasn't me that chopped it down. But for a second, like my life flashed before my eyes.
It's always like that when they especially in how they ask you.
Yeah.
It's like all of a sudden you're like, did I?
Yeah. And it's like, okay, so he was just fucking with me.
Right.
But I was like, oh my God, no, it wasn't me.
I'm not going to be a looky-loo anymore. I'm going home.
I'm going home. I mean, this is like not even 100 feet from my front door, but yeah.
Dude, I had an incident like that when I first moved up here. So I used to have to go, the gym I used to go to was this 24-hour fitness, and from my house it was about a mile walk, and I used it to do cardio. Mm-hmm. And you would go down this walking trail. You know what I'm talking about? There's like
That's a nice trail, yeah.
Behind my house.
Yeah.
So it's another pee story. Sorry.
I love a good pee story.
So I'm walking one day and I have to go to the bathroom, right?
All right.
And so I go down to this little creek, and I go behind this tree, and I go to the bathroom, and I walk back up, not thinking anything of it, walk to the gym, go do my workout. I'm walking back, and there's like 4 Roanoke Park police cars blocking the trail. And I'm like, whoa, this is weird.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm still walking. I got my headphones on. I'm not paying attention. I'm into the cardio. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, one of these big-ass cops comes up to me, and like these Roanoke Park cops, they're big.
Yeah.
They're big dudes, right?
Yeah.
Stops me.
Yeah.
Asks me to take off my headphones. Take off my headphones. He's like, hey, were you walking on this trail about 30 minutes ago? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, were you peeping on people? And I'm like, huh? And he's like, yeah, there was a report of a guy going down into the creek and then coming back up and then going back down into the creek and coming back up. And I'm like, I went down to the creek once, and to be honest with you, it's because I had to pee.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, well, this lady made it sound like you were peeping in her window. And I was like, no. I went down, used a bush, had to pee really bad. I couldn't hold it. He's like, well, you probably shouldn't pee in public. And
yeah.
Like, yeah, I know, but it was an emergency.
It was
an emergency situation.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, this lady called and said that you were in her backyard peeping through her windows. And I was like, no.
No. I mean, maybe there was a peeper there, but it wasn't you.
It wasn't me.
Yeah.
He let me go, but I mean, it's like they had nothing but there was like 4 of them, dude. They were blocking both ends of the trail, right?
Yeah.
2 of them were blocking, and there's 3 of them on the trail.
Yeah, looking for a peeper. Yeah.
A supposed peeper.
But
then he said...
An alleged peeper.
He said this lady calls it in about nonsense all the time.
Oh, well, yeah.
So yeah, man. We're a little into this podcast, and I had this whole thing worked out where I wanted to talk about NFTs.
Man, next time.
That's going to be saved for next time because, the old man peeing story took for a little... The old man yelling at me took a little while, and the peeing story took a little while.
Our several pee-pee stories took a while, and the cop stories took a while, and... We both had old man stories and cop stories.
Because I didn't say it at the beginning of the episode, this is the podcast about nothing that makes you think about something. And today is an episode that's probably about nothing to most listeners.
Yeah, but
or maybe it's making you think about something.
Might make you think about old men and pee-pee and cops.
Yeah, and maybe not to drop your receipt in front of an old man.
Yeah.
Because those old men can be ornery sometimes. So one thing I'm happy about, Max, and I'm going to tell you this. I am happy that I'm not an ornery old man. Ornery old man.
I don't know. But not yet.
Not yet. I don't think I want to be that glad. Because I was angry when I was younger.
Yeah, me too.
You know what I mean?
It's a bummer being angry.
Yeah. To be young and angry is just a bummer.
To be anything and angry is just a bummer. It sucks being angry.
Yeah.
And at the time, something about it feels good, but it just sucks so much.
I'm angry at society. I'm angry at being angry at things that don't even affect you in the grand scheme of life. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of wasted energy.
It is.
You know what I mean? I mentioned this before when we recorded the one that we stopped recording. I have never been happier than I am right now at 50 years old. It's weird, dude. I don't know why I'm this happy, but it's
hey, good on you, man.
something happens that thing people often talk about where they say like, I hit a certain age and I really stopped giving a fuck. Mm-hmm. And like, I thought about it when I was like in my 40s, and I'm like, even when I was in my 40s or 30s, I really still cared about what people thought about me. Mm-hmm. Like, dude, it's a beautiful thing when you hit 50 and you're just like, you know what, I don't give a fuck.
People have actually done studies, and I don't know the specifics of the studies or how they found the data or whatever, but apparently there's like a curve to human happiness.
Right.
And so this is for, like, on average, people are happy as children. Coming into adulthood, they become less happy. In the 30s and 40s, they hit like a valley in their happiness.
I could relate to that.
And
my
then
30s and 40s were not fun.
Yeah, and then it starts going back up.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's a trip. Like, I get asked like all the time now. People are like, "Dude, you look so you seem so happy now. Like, what happened?" And I'm like, "I can't tell you. Like, I just know like little stuff that used to bother me doesn't bother me anymore. Like, things that used to have a real control over my life or thought were important really isn't important anymore. Like, I don't really care. Like, as long as I got enough money in the bank to like pay my rent, pay my bills, you know what I mean? Like, I don't need a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm pretty damn happy.
Fuck yeah.
And coming from a guy that was practically homeless when I was younger, like, the other part of it is, it's coming from the things that I've come from, like, I shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Like, I shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that I've gone through, I shouldn't be around. Mm-hmm. And, like, knowing that, I think it's played a part into, like stuff doesn't bother me anymore.
Yeah, that would help. And, here you stand.
I stand.
All fucking alive and everything.
All alive and grateful that I have the life that I have. Like, now I'm getting sappy. But,
yeah, fuck it.
But
be sappy.
I'm pretty grateful for the life I have. Like, when I first moved back to California, I didn't have anything. Mm-hmm. Like, when I say I didn't have anything, I didn't have anything. Like, I had a duffel bag.
Yeah.
I slept on people's couches. Slept outside. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can see why they say that, because, like, my 30s and 40s were rough, man.
Yeah.
It was a rough time.
Yeah.
Like, talk about growing pains. Like, it was rough. Mm-hmm. And, like, I'm glad I made it through it.
Yeah.
But, so if you're out there and you're in your 30s, you're in your later 20s or whatever, and things are rough, it gets better. I can tell you that. You probably don't believe some guy talking in a microphone, but coming from where I come from, it gets better.
There you go. It gets better unless it doesn't.
Unless it doesn't. But part of that is you got to take actions to get yourself happy. So
yep.
There are certain things that I did to make me happy again. So anyway, I'm done babbling. I think that's going to wrap up this episode.
Cool.
What do you think?
Yeah, that works.
We got no more moral recaps.
Nah.
We already talked about, probably not a good idea to argue with old men.
Yep.
If you got to go pee, go before you go to a grocery store.
Yeah, well, there's the old Larry David saying, pee before you leave.
Pee before you leave.
Pee before you leave.
I did that. And I still...
Sometimes you gotta pee again.
Right. Anyway, that's our episode. And until next time, America...
Don't shit yourself.
And don't pee yourself.
Yeah, don't pee yourself.
All right.